Yeah, I do have, and before we get public comment and before other members of council, if they have questions, going to attachment B, which is the large spreadsheet, if you go to page 2 of 6, please, and going down to the third category, permits,
Yes.
and then going down to family daycare home permit and home occupation permit. Currently, it's being recommended that for a family daycare home permit, it's a $175 charge, one-time fee only. Home occupation permit, $150, one-time only fee. I guess my concern with that is, and particularly more with the home occupation permit, this in essence is a business license, it's a business. We have other businesses in town, and I believe that business licenses are required to be renewed on a regular basis, and there is some fee charged for the renewal. I guess I need to know, or somebody needs to convince me why you would make a home occupation permit, since they are making money and they are working out of their home, why you would not ask that they continue to renew their home occupation. What was the rationale behind making it a one-time fee?
Well, just to clarify, they still pay a business license fee in addition to this fee. And if Mr. Dausel wants to jump in, but my understanding is in general, the review at the start of someone making a request for a home occupation permit is
Okay. All right.
to
So
look
that's
at
the
what are their impacts to the neighborhood, to go through that public input process. So they're two separate fees.
Yeah, we are required by the ordinance, as it is now, to notify property owners within 100 feet of a proposed home occupation. And then in the case of an objection, we have to respond to that individual. So that's the reason for the cost, is the noticing that takes place, the processing.
So other than that, then there wouldn't be a fee then?
No, once it's established, if it stays at that location, then Janet's right, we only have a recurring business license fee.
So then there are two issues that are two licenses, or permits, if you will. There's to get, you pay,
You're going to
it's
pay the
being
business
recommended
license.
$150 to get a home occupation permit. That's just to do the noticing and going through the legal notification process.
Right.
Then they are still required to do, on top of that, a business license, just like a regular storefront business downtown or
Correct.
wherever.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. I had some other questions, but I'll let, we'll get some public comment. Well, yeah, let me go to 4 of 6. I'll just make this real brief. And that's under, again, permits. Sidewalk cafe permit, renewed due to expired insurance. It seems to me that if you're a business owner, why would you allow your insurance to expire, number one? And then the proposed fee is not or NA. So I guess, am I reading that? So I own a business, I have a cafe, or a sidewalk cafe permit through whatever reason, good business practice or bad business practice. I let that policy expire. Does that not then open us up, the city, to additional exposure from a litigation standpoint? And why would we, I guess, reward or not hold somebody with some consequences if they allow their insurance to expire?
Okay, if I can give a little bit of backup, and then I'll respond to that. These are new fees for both. The cafe permit fee is new, and then this issue of a renewal is a new fee. And after the questions or concerns that were raised at the public hearing, and we considered what are our options for encouraging someone to get their insurance back on track. Just as an example, we've had issues where a business changed owners, and the new owner, it's a specific clause or add-on to the insurance that deals with this public liability. There's specific language in the city code that says what the insurance has to say. And so they have to work with their insurance carrier to get that. I don't believe it's an expensive add-on, but it's just a specific language that has to be included. When there's a new property owner, or if they've changed insurance carriers, sometimes there's a lag in getting the correct paperwork in place. And so staff was looking for a mechanism, again, just to encourage people, rather than go after this $300 fee, we would just suggest going through code enforcement. It's a requirement of the city code to have this type of permit. And again, worst case scenario, we try to get voluntary compliance first. We could issue the fines that are allowable under our code enforcement ordinance.
That's fine for now, okay.
I have some questions. It says in 2005, the city hired PRM to complete comprehensive user fee study to determine the cost of providing these services. So I assume the costs that they're talking about are the actual hours put in by each member of each department.
Correct.
Okay. And on page 2, not to forget page 2 because that's just for discussion later on. I guess on page 3 where it says with regards to the copying room for public use, staff will monitor opportunities to use surplus equipment, blah, 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 blah. With regards to making the city code, and keep the suggestion for future implementation. I know how things don't get done by putting this kind of thing off. Do we have room at City Hall right now, available space to put in a TV set and a combination DVD VHS player?
Well, at least for a copier, one room that had been suggested, and again, we haven't had detailed discussions with staff, but a suggestion was to use what we call the front conference room, where it has all the legal books in there. It's the smaller of our 2 conference rooms. So that's an option. Again, we'd have to consider how that fits in with our operations. But at least for the short term, our concern was where do we come up with the equipment given our financial constraints, and maybe
Right.
something for the budget discussions that you want to discuss further.
Okay, I know that Walmart has combination DVD, VHS players for about $100 or less. TVs are, I assume that a lot of these, because they don't receive digital, are going to be maybe tossed around the city and might get the garbage company to keep an eye out for a spare set somewhere down the line. But I really think that the cost would be minimal as far as providing a TV and a DVD player. I think we should be considering that now. That's all the questions I have.
Any other questions from council before I go to the public for comments?
Just from what Sarah Mal said, I know that in the past when there's been overflow for the city council, you did have a television set in the entryway here. If we were to spend the $100 to get a DVD player, would we be able to use that television set?
My understanding is the issue with the copying, and perhaps I'm not answering the right question, but is the staff time to make the copies right now. Right now, because we don't have the equipment, we rely on the video tech to do the copying here, and so he's on an hourly time. If we did have the equipment available in a more convenient way, either City Hall staff could do it there within City Hall, or again, we could just set up an extra machine for the public to use if we have the space to do that. So again, with time, and I think we do have some TVs used for, in engineering's case, we use them for reviewing like sewer lines, that type of thing. Again, if we hear that that's a priority, then we'll look creatively to come up with the equipment.